Anti-Warbird challenge. Kill 5 Warbirds with the MAAWS and Mayhem launchers. So Warbirds are apparently living, breathing things since it says you have to kill them. Every other vehicle challenge says destroy. Completing this challenge will unlock the Urban Jet camo. Unlike the UAV challenge where the MAAWS has to take down more than the Mayhem, the Anti-Warbird challenge is identical for both the MAAWS and the Mayhem launchers. And for this reason, I'll be covering how to do this challenge for both launchers at once. Believe it or not, this challenge actually isn't difficult at all. There are 3 viable methods to completing this challenge for both launchers. So let me go over the initial strategy first. As I'm sure some of you probably realize, to take down a Warbird it takes 2 rockets. That's either 2 MAAWS rockets or 2 Mayhem rockets. The Warbird doesn't last very long though, so you might not have time to shoot that many rockets, especially since the MAAWS only has 1 shot to begin with, which means you'll have to suicide and come back to try again. Luckily, there's a tactic to counter this. I should note that this applies to both the Mayhem and the MAAWS launchers. So as soon as you see a Warbird in the sky, you'll want to shoot it enough times until it starts smoking. The smoke is black in color and quite small, but it should be very noticeable. Then, as soon as you see the smoke, swap to the launcher you're working on and fire away. And that's it. Once it's smoking, it's now a one-shot kill with either launcher. As you'll see later on when I cover the weapon loadout recommendation, a silencer is very handy. You don't want to draw attention to yourself while firing your weapon at the Warbird. It does take more than a single clip of most assault rifles to get the Warbird smoking, so if you shoot at it without a silencer, you're bound to draw attention to yourself. So now you know the trick to weakening a Warbird, let me mention the 3 ways to achieve this challenge. The first way is the standard technique. That is, just wait for your enemy to call one in. If you've never played Domination, I suggest this mode. There are so many Warbirds in that mode, it's actually quite ridiculous. You should have no issue finding Warbirds, especially if you're playing against clans. The second method requires the hardcore mode. You'll want to wait for your own teammate to call in a Warbird and then shoot it using the tactic I mentioned earlier. Sure, it's a douchey thing to do, but more often than not, whoever called it in won't even realize that it's his own teammate that destroyed it. He'll probably just assume it was an enemy. Remember, you only need 5 destroyed to complete this challenge. The third method is the best and most certain way of achieving this challenge. Again, it requires the hardcore mode. However, this time, we're going to earn it ourselves. So once you earn a Warbird, call it in and perform the strategy I mentioned earlier. I'll cover this in more detail in a second, but you'll want to use the Defender module on the Warbird. This is to make sure the Warbird stays directly above us and more or less more still than usual, allowing for a quick and easy kill. This way, not only do you control how often you target a Warbird, you don't have to destroy your own teammates' Warbirds. It's a win-win situation. So those are my 3 methods. Let's talk about aiming a bit more though. First, the MAAWS. So just like the anti-UAV challenge I covered, you'll want to shoot the rocket first and then swap to your primary weapon that has a red dot sight on it. Using that sight, aim at the direct center of the Warbird and follow it. It's way faster and easier to hit a Warbird than a UAV since it flies so much closer. To be honest, I found that hitting a Warbird with the MAAWS was actually harder than the Mayhem. It also takes a bit longer since you have to swap back to your primary weapon to aim properly. As for the Mayhem, at least it has 2 shots. So if you do happen to miss, you can follow it up with another shot immediately. I must mention that the Warbird has a huge hitbox. Even if it looks like you mucked up your first shot and didn't aim properly, chances are it may clip the wing, even if it doesn't appear that way. Just look for the hit marker indicator. Trust me, it's very hard to miss shooting a stationary Warbird, even with an unguided Mayhem rocket. And again, the Defender module on the Warbird makes it stay directly above you, making this even easier. Of course, an issue I can see popping up for some of you guys is that not everyone can legitimately earn a Warbird themselves. Thus, this would make my third tactic of destroying your own Warbird useless. You obviously have to play hardcore domination. Your best chances are straight off the bat or at the start of the second round since you get the plus 200 for the initial flag cap. Also, running the support UAV with extra time and extra assist points will help you since you're guaranteed to get this at some point during the match. Obviously, use your best weapon. Hardcore mode makes every weapon extremely viable. You're also much safer to camp it up in hardcore mode since the minimap isn't available at all times. So let's cover a quick class loadout. You'll want to use a heavy weapon that you're very proficient with or your favorite primary weapon with extended mags. A silencer is mandatory so you don't draw attention to yourself while shooting at the Warbird. A red dot sight is mandatory only for the MAAWS challenge. You'll definitely also want fast hands and blind eye. Hardline is a must if you're going to destroy your own Warbird, since this makes it easier to achieve. Low profile is also essential to keep you off the UAV. For streaks, as mentioned earlier, you should run the UAV with extra time and extra assist points coupled with support if you're doing the destroy your own Warbird tactic. If not, go with the support and threat detection. You'll obviously also need to equip the Warbird with the defender module if you're shooting down your own, as this will make it move around the least and be an easy target. Besides equipping the MAAWS or the Mayhem launcher themselves, the rest of the points are up to you. Also remember that you can earn a Warbird with the defender module on any class you want. If you have an amazing class already set up, just put the Warbird score streak on it. Then simply earn it, and when you're ready to call it in, swap to your launcher class before doing so. So that's really all there is to it. Shoot enough rounds into a Warbird until you see it smoking, at which point it will now be a one-shot kill with either launcher. For the MAAWS, guide the rocket with a red dot sight primary for an easy kill. For the Mayhem, just aim at a stationary Warbird and take advantage of its huge hitbox. If you're lucky enough, you can employ all 3 tactics I mentioned in a single match by playing Hardcore Domination. You can earn your own Warbird with the Defender module, making the Mayhem Warbird kills easier since the Warbird won't fly around as much. You can also watch for and destroy your own teammates' Warbirds and possibly even destroy your enemies' Warbirds all in the same game. The potential for 3 or more Warbird kills in a single match is possible. I completed this challenge for both launchers in less than 3 hours of gameplay. One thing I forgot to note is that I never had a Warbird fire a flare at my MAAWS or Mayhem rockets. I honestly don't know if shooting it with enough bullets disables the flares, but I can guarantee no flares were ever dispatched. When I did this challenge with the Stinger launcher, I felt that the Warbirds deflected my rockets half of my attempts, if not even more. I'm genuinely curious. If any of you experience flares with my tactics, please post in the comments and let me know. Good luck with this challenge regardless of which method you choose. And remember, if I can earn my own Warbird, so can you.